So let's get into now my journey, my journey through fire, and a little bit about my life and what I've come to understand about myself. So I've come to understand that I'm not the normal human being. It took me a long time to understand that. It took me a long time to come to the realization there was reasons why I never fitted in life growing up. I, from a young age, was ostracized by my mum and essentially made wrong for being sensitive. So I was quite a sensitive kid, and I've now started to uncover and realize a lot of memories and things I had suppressed are coming back to the surface of my childhood. And there was gifts and things I had in my ability to see things back when I was a kid that I was made wrong for because I was misunderstood. Like, it was seen to be weird, there was something wrong with Mike. You know, you shouldn't be that sensitive, you shouldn't be seeing these things, you shouldn't be saying these things. And so I ended up burying a lot of my gifts and things that I actually had because it wasn't safe for me to show them or experience them. I was made wrong for them. And so part of this whole journey for me, and now that I look back, was realizing that this was all set up deliberately. Like, it was all set up deliberately because all of us healers, all of us, what I consider myself a light worker, one of the chosen consciousnesses that have come here at this particular time to do what we're doing, have all elected a life of fire, trial by fire. So I could never understand, as I was growing up, why I couldn't just have groups of friends that was normal, like I saw other people having, or a normal what I consider a normal family life, or why I'd have to have something else break down, or I think something's going well, then that would get torn down. So I've, through my life, experienced many different lifetimes, so to speak, different versions of myself, that when I looked at friends who would get married when they were young and have families, and that just seemed to be their trajectory, my life was like resembling the complete opposite. It was resembling all sorts of journeys that I'd go on thinking that this was my path, only to have that all smashed down and end up going in a different direction, whether it be a business, like the multiple businesses I've owned, or relationships that I've had. And so it was this very different pathway where I was also sent into myself. So for as long as I can remember, since a teenager, I've been very introspective, and I've wanted to learn and grow and understand why things are the way they are. And so it sent me on a massive journey of wanting to learn personal development, going through the DeMartini Institute, for example, been studying under him for 20 odd years and trying to understand consciousness, human behavior, just trying to make sense of it all, because I was trying to make sense of why I was going through what I was going through. And so I feel very blessed now that, as it says up there, that the transformation comes from the struggles and the pain that we go through. And it was me having to go through a lot of this that I've realized that changed my philosophy on it, which is why I could teach others, and I had to go first, is that the way that we actually change our lives is by, as I said earlier, addressing the pains that we're going through and using them and transmuting them to become your gold, rather than running from them and staying the victim, which is what the majority of the public are doing. Majority of people, they'll say they do the inner work, or they'll say that they work on themselves. They'll listen to a book, or an audio book, or read a book, or a podcast, and they think they're doing work on themselves, but they're not. They're intellectualizing and understanding what's happening. But until you actually take on those particular pains and challenges, and you go in and you feel them and access them, you don't get to transmute them. It's just kind of like intellectualizing everything from a cognitive standpoint. So, as we talked about earlier, this was kind of like a bit challenging for me even looking at this, but so I now have come to the realization that I have spirit guides, I have archangels that are working with me, I have access to relatives that are no longer here. I communicate with them on a daily basis. These are things that I would never have, I would have thought I was crazy if I'd even been talking about this a year and a half ago. So that's how much things have changed for me and how rapidly they have. And part of that change and transformation was, as I mentioned earlier, that spiritual retreat that I went to, which was really about activating DNA, dormant DNA, activating the pineal gland. We did some astral travel, taking our light bodies, our consciousness out of our bodies and into the pyramids, and under the pyramids into the violet pools for healing. And so this was the experience I went through when I was in Aussie about a month ago, when I was there for the 5 days. And I can tell you it was the most profound, game-changing experience that changed me dramatically. I got to see entities being removed from people, like energetic entities. Not that you could see them physically, but I saw people's bodies change physically after the entities had been removed. And so I've now seen too much with my own two eyes to doubt what's going on. And as I mentioned earlier, just touching on it, we're really in a spiritual battle. A battle for human consciousness. Again, the movies talk about it, they show us all of this stuff, but we're not really taught this. And so at the moment, the veil is getting very, very thin between our world and the spiritual world. Like, you all are probably starting to notice different things, you're seeing different things, like you're tapping into intuition differently. Yeah? As you come into alignment with yourself, and you get back to who you are, you start to unlock these spiritual gifts, these psychic gifts that I think that we all have. Some may have some more than others, but we've all got access to our intuition. We've all got access to having insights and parts of ourselves that we can utilize that we haven't been taught necessarily from children. But the way we get access to those is to bring our awareness to them first, to become conscious of them, and then to bring yourselves into alignment to stop the noise, to stop the chatter, and that's what starts to change things. So since I've been talking to my guides and God, the divine, I literally will get visions and downloads of things that I need to do. And as I've been doing this, I've been learning to also trust that there's an unfolding of life. And then when you have your intentions and your manifestations that you've been doing, I'll be talking more about how to manifest and so forth later, you literally put out into the quantum realm your intent. You energize that with your emotion, and then these things start to come forth and you start to actually bring them into your existence, because we're projecting our reality out. And so when you have a very strong intention and you energize those intentions, the universe, God, the divine, however you want to frame it, will work with you to co-create those very things. When you do that and you get into that place of alignment, you can surrender instead of trying to push and force and chase things. So there's an element of surrendering, which is the balance between the masculine and the feminine energy. The masculine energy is getting shit done. It's like pushing to get stuff done. So we need that masculine energy to take action and ground the intentions into the physical realm. But there's also the feminine energy, which is the element of surrendering, the creativity and the surrender, which allows for the unfolding. And when you get to bring both the masculine and feminine into balance, it's a really beautiful place to arrive at. And so what I've started to uncover now is that as I've been manifesting most days, and I go through a sequence to manifest with music and so forth, and I have a series of visions that I go into to energize. When you do that, you're essentially collapsing space and time, and you're shifting timelines. You're bringing that into reality. So it may take a while for it to actually come forward in the physical reality, but you're actually energizing it in the quantum realm. And so therefore it will start to come forward. When you do that and you trust in that, what happens is that I know now when I go where I'm supposed to go, just with where the flow feels right, like I've learned to just trust what feels right and go where it feels right, I am always presented with the right people at the right time, and I end up talking to them about what I need to talk to them about. And since I've been doing that now, it's been operating like that probably a good couple of months now. I've been operating at that level. It is just mind-blowing about who I come across when I come across them. And I'm like, oh, you're here for that. And I just innately know that's why they're there. Dan, I think it's the same as how we met. We talked about this. It's the same with all of you. You start to kind of just understand there's no accidents, there's no coincidence. Everything is by design. It's just whether you're consciously aware of it or not. That's the difference. And so this is what I want to do for everyone today, is to raise your awareness that that's what's happening. It's all synchronicity. It's all on energetics that have been pulled together based on the intentions of your consciousness. When you have an intention, so when you're really clear on what you're doing and where you're going, and say for example you've got who's got something they've been manifesting, like that they're consciously manifesting, because we're manifesting whether you know it or not. We're manifesting all the time. Whether you're conscious of it or not, it's a different story. And most of us have been run by the subconscious programs that we're manifesting from. So we're manifesting from the blind spots, the beliefs that are disempowering, the stuff we've been brought up with. Until you clear those things out, those are the things that your subconscious is actually seeking out. And so even though, how many have gone from a relationship to a relationship that was the same? Like you've jumped from, one frying pan into the next frying pan going, fuck, I thought this was going to be different, but it's the same. We've all experienced that. So the reason that happens is that until that particular part in the subconscious is cleared up, then it's manifesting and seeking out the very dynamic that it's familiar with. So as we go in and we start to break these cycles and we start to break these belief systems, you then get to have, instead of the subconscious running it, you get to consciously choose what it is that you want to manifest and what you want to create. When you arrive in that place and then you sit and you have a meditation practice that you do on a daily basis or a weekly basis, what you're doing in that time that you go in to manifest is you're getting present with yourself, like we did with the meditation. You're raising your vibration, and when you raise your vibration, you become more potent. You're going to be able to access and invest more energy into whatever it is that you're wanting to invest the energy into. When you go in like that, you go into the void, well, the quantum realm. When you're in the void, which is when you're like outside of this 3D world, you're inside yourself, connected to your higher self. Now you get to actually manipulate and influence consciousness way more than when we're just operating in the day-to-day life. Does that make sense to everyone? So it's like you're kind of tapping straight in. And when you tap straight in and you consciously invest your energy into those visions and you see yourself in there and you put the emotion into it and you feel it, well, you're signaling to the universe and creating the very thing that you're investing all that into. When you do that regularly and you're doing that consistently, there's an element then of surrendering and detaching from that. So you've invested into it, you've energized it, but then you can detach from it knowing that it's going to happen. There's just a knowingness that you arrive at. Because when you let go and you detach from it, you're now not trying to grab hold of something and force it. When we try and grab hold of something and force it, we end up pushing it away. It's through the intent and the knowing and energizing and then the detachment that allows it to happen. And that comes down to an element of trust and surrendering to the divine flow and to your intentions. So that's the feminine energy that you're asking about. That's the feminine's the one that's the receiver. It's the creative energy. It's the trust. It's the surrendering to what's happening. The masculine is the pushing, the driving, the getting shit done, the taking action. And we need that too. We need both. But most guys are generally not in touch with their feminine as well. So you'll see that it's just all about, got to push hard, got to like nudge this, got to do this, got to chase. And so I've learned that it doesn't have to be that way. And when you get to understand that that's how life is set up, in the sense that we get to create consciously if we choose to, rather than subconsciously, and that you're a soul having a human experience here, and that you create in the quantum realm, now you get to experience life differently. Like the way you experience yourself and what's happening around you is completely different. When I receive myself differently than what I did 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. As I mentioned earlier, the mind's not as fragmented. There's no old stories bouncing around in there that are driving me certain directions. There's just this clarity and a detachment from certain outcomes with a deep trust and knowing that what's unfolding is my creation for my highest good. Does that make sense to everyone? So that's the goal. That's the place to be arriving at. And we do that through meditation. We do that through connecting to ourselves. We do that through integrating our shadows. Because those shadows that I spoke about earlier, those shadows are the things that are then creating unconsciously. Whatever we haven't pulled out of the surface, under the surface, which is the subconscious beliefs, it's like the boat sitting on top of the surface. Those subconscious beliefs are the things that are really driving and propelling the boat. And so until you bring those out and you sit them on the surface to know what it is that you're looking at, you don't know what's running the show. It's just running it, whether you like it or not. So that's why introspection, meditation, and doing the shadow integrations and things are like really, really important. Now, to show you how your past does not have to define you, this was only like 8 years ago. Look at me. This was 8 years ago. Leo was about, probably a bit less than 8 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago. Leo was 1. That was me in Indonesia. I think I was in at Jakarta there in that picture. But I was 110 kg, give you an idea. I'm now weighing 84, 83 kg. And you can just see on my face that I look like a different human, right? I kind of look young but older, really unhealthy, really unhappy. And why I'm showing this is that this is the physical manifestation of what was going on internally. So our physical bodies are merely just reflecting and showing what's happening for us internally. And so in this picture up here, I'd just gone to Indonesia to set up to help the business expand, the Usana business, and was doing talks and trainings. I had left New Zealand. The person I was with at the time, I do believe that she did this intentionally to keep me locked in. Now that I understand the dynamics of these people that have been around me, I really firmly believe that she got pregnant intentionally to keep me from going. Because the moment, I'll share this too, before I left to go to Indonesia, we ended up sleeping together. It was probably about a week before, or a few days before I was about to fly out. And at the moment I ended up ejaculating, I had a voice speak to me that was so profound, so loud, and it said, "She's pregnant." Like instantly. I'd never ever experienced that in my life before, but I knew in that moment that she was pregnant. And I said to her, "You're gonna have to get the morning after pill because I'm pretty sure you're pregnant." No, I'm not pregnant. I know my body. No. For the next 2 days, I begged her to take the morning after pill because I just knew, and I was flying out in a couple of days. And "Oh no, I'm not going to put that crap in my body. I don't want to put those hormones in there and wreck my body." And I was like, okay. So I fly off to Jakarta to go build the business and do all that. And then about 6 or 7 weeks later, I get a phone call, and she said, "Are you sitting down?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." I kind of had that sinking feeling, and she goes, "I'm pregnant." And so that moment for me, that was like, I felt like the terminology I used was my life had been hijacked. Can you imagine that? Like feeling like your life had been hijacked, that I had no control over my life anymore, that I remember thinking my life is fucked. I remember thinking, what am I going to do? Because I had such a fear about being a father, because what was happening for me is I was looking at my family and what my dad had done and how he'd left his first wife, and my half-brother had been really screwed over because he felt dad abandoned him, and my half-brother hated me. He was jealous of me because dad had gone and had another family and I was the son that he stayed with. And I looked at all this turmoil and all this pain that came with marriage, came with having children. And so I had this innate fear about being a father, thinking that I was going to fuck my son up or my daughter up. I was going to do the same thing, and it like freaked me out. So here I am all of a sudden now, finally getting out of New Zealand into Indonesia to build this business, which I'd wanted to do for a long time. And then all of a sudden someone's gone and, this is how it felt, got pregnant to take it away from me. And so I went into this absolute despair, went into depression, went into despair. The whole business started falling apart there. Here I am promoting a health company, supplements in it. I'm looking like this. And I was so out of touch with myself, and I was in such a bad way. And for the first and only time in my life, there was a moment there I actually thought about ending my life when I was in Indonesia. I was that low and that bad, and I was drinking that much to try and run from the reality of what was happening, that I ended up getting myself into this state. So as much as I loved the idea of having a child, and this was the part, I had these battles going on in me, I had the realization that I was never going to run from my own flesh and blood, because it was like, I've always been for people, helping people, wanting people to develop, and being there for them. So how could I leave my own child? So I had that on one side, and then the other part of me was thinking, fuck, what am I going to do? I'm not ready to be a dad. And it sent me into absolute turmoil. So I ended up putting on all this weight and just being completely unhappy and just letting myself go. And you can just see it through my beard, everything was just gone. So that was one of the big first dark nights of the soul. I ended up cheating on my girlfriend at the time over there when I was there as well. And the reason I did that is that I was just trying to escape. I was trying to escape the reality of what was happening. And so I was doing what the majority of the public are doing. I was drinking, and I was like trying to hook up with someone else, thinking I could save myself and get out of this situation. And so that there led to a lot of pain and a lot of me having to face myself. But I share this part here just to show you as well, is that again, look at me now. I'm 40, this is what, 7 years on, so I'm about 40, just maybe 39 in that photo, and I look like a completely different human. So the reason I share that is that was me. Look at me, 110 kg there, tanking. Again, just really wanted to reiterate and show you guys that whatever's happened to you in your past does not have to define you at all. This is why you can have deaths and rebirths. And it's just the limited perceptions that we have on ourselves and how we have to function that cause people to stay locked into these patterns or these identities that they've created that don't have to be their identity. If we get to look at all these things that have happened, you know, as I zoom out and I look at what happened with that, now I'm so grateful. Like my son Leo has been the greatest gift for me, and if it hadn't have happened that way, I probably would have never had a child. And so again, you zoom out and you get to look at things from a different perspective. As much as it's hard going through it at the time, it's there for a reason. Everything that happens to us is for a reason, and it is for our growth and evolution. The only thing that fundamentally changes that is the way that we start to choose to look at it. If you're thinking, and how many people do you guys know that are stuck in a situation? I know a lot of people that have gone to marriages they didn't want to be into. They end up having kids there, and they stay there because the shame of leaving, or the potential pain of leaving, or the potential concern of not finding someone else, or doing the wrong thing, or what's my mum going to think of me, or what's the neighbour going to think of me, what's my friend going to think of me. All these things, these projections of what everyone else is thinking and caring about, ends up keeping people stuck in the very situations that are making them unhappy. And so I show you this, is that you can bust through anything that's happened to you. You can change anything.
Those people in those situations turn to substance abuse,
yeah,
or distractions, or because as a coping mechanism.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And when you're operating here like this, I was so low vibration. Like I was so disconnected from myself. I was like, I think about the version of me back then to now, and just the presence and awareness I have of myself now is completely fucking different, like so different. And so like there, I didn't know my head from my ass in so many ways. I was just kind of surviving and trying to get by. So that then led to this, which was only 4 years ago. And this year I've learnt more about as well what happened to me here in this time. And like, look at my face there. You can just see, I mean, that there was at the peak of my distraught, like concern about my life, whether I was going to see my son grow up. But you can also see how like much fluid and how fat my face is there compared to how it is now. And again, it's pain. Like what you see there is pain that I'm holding in my body. Pain and heartbreak, literally heartbreak. And when I went in for had the heart attack, this was back in 2021, it was a Monday night, and I was sitting on the couch and I was having a Pinot Noir. I loved my red wine, my jungle juice I used to call it. I'd have a bottle to a bottle and a half of Pinot a night, and I was doing that maybe 4 times a week, 5 times a week sometimes. And we'd just come back from my sister's birthday in Hamner. I'm sitting on the couch on a Monday night, and then I feel this kind of weird pain in my throat, like a sensation like someone had blown a ball up in my throat. And so I didn't think it was a heart attack at that point, because no one tells you that that's what the feeling's going to be like. You hear the whole pain down the left arm or running up the neck or the shoulder, and I didn't really have any of that. I just had this, like someone had blown a balloon up in my throat, and it was really uncomfortable. And so I put myself to bed that night on the Monday about 9:30, and thinking I had swollen glands or something like that. And then 3 a.m. I got up, came down. I think Susan found me on the floor on all fours. I'd just naturally gone down to all fours. Seems to be something that happens when you have a heart attack. Just trying to kind of get comfortable. And I remember just kind of going like this, because I was thinking, couldn't figure out what was happening. Went outside, lay down on the grass, did all these random things, and then put myself back to bed. And it wasn't till 2 o'clock the next day that Mum said, you better ring the hospital. And I rang the hospital, and they said, I told them what had happened, what I was experiencing. They said, you better come in and get tested. So instead of calling the ambulance, which in hindsight I would have done, I got someone dropped me off in there, and I went to A&E. And sitting there, they did the bloods, and they had to wait like maybe 45 minutes, and when the guy came back and said, "Oh, I'm really glad you're here, Mr. Harris," already my heart sunk. He's like, "You've had a heart incident." This is the terminology he used. "You've had a heart incident." I was like, "Heart incident? You mean a heart attack?" "Well, you've had an event." So, "Have I had a heart attack?" Yes. So like didn't want to come out and say that, but that was the crux they were getting to. And the moment he said that, I remember getting up off the bed that I was on, and I've almost shat myself on the spot and had to run to the toilet and vomit because I was in shock of the fact that I'd just been told I'd had a heart attack. It was like horrific. And I rang my mum from the hospital to tell her I had a heart attack. And this is where things got really insidious, and I'm going to share this really openly because this is the journey that needs to be shared. I said to her, "Hey, just letting you know I've had a heart attack. They've just done the enzyme test and that's what's happened." And the first thing that my mum said to me, I'll never forget it, "Oh, well, welcome to the club." That was the response I got while I was in hospital. And I remember standing there and just going, "What the fuck?" Like it was just blew me away, and I was in shock already from the heart attack, and then to get a response like that from my mum was just so twisted. And I then had to stay in the hospital for 3 days. I was 2.5 days, 2 days before I could get the angiogram, which is where they shove the wire up your artery. They put it in through my wrist, and they put it up through into the aorta of your heart. And you're lying on like a steel slab. You're awake, you're fully conscious, and there are all these screens round and nurses and stuff there. And I got them to drug me up as much as they could. I said, "Look, 'cause I'm nervous as hell. I don't like needles at the best of times, let alone something up in my vein." And I'm lying there, and I could hear them talking, "Oh, that's not working. We'll try this." And I'm talking to these doctors and that. I'm like, "What do you mean that's not working?" Trying to control everything I could control just to relax myself. "What do you mean that's not working?" "Oh, it's okay, Mr. Harris. Everything's going okay." It doesn't sound like it's going okay. And so that was an experience in itself too. And what ended up happening and what wasn't working is that what they found was that the artery that was blocked was about 1.5 millimeters in diameter on the left posterior part of the heart, which is the feminine side, interestingly enough. And they were trying to get a stent in there, but because it was so small and right at the back, they couldn't get the stent in, and they were worried it was going to perforate the artery and cause internal bleeding. And so they didn't end up putting it in. And I'm really grateful they didn't, because I didn't want something foreign in my body anyway. I didn't want a stent in there if I could help it. And they said that because it was only such a small artery, that normally the heart will create an offshoot, or the artery will create another offshoot, and it'll kind of compensate and adapt. So I was really glad that that happened that way in the end. But the 2 days or 2.5 days I had to wait between going into hospital to get that confirmation of what was going on was like horrific. That was a really tough two days, because I didn't know if my heart was completely fucked, where I was going to see my son grow up. So that's what this kind of moment in time was here, was not knowing how bad things were, whether it was going to be unrecoverable, whether I'd done permanent damage and so forth. After getting the ultrasound as well, they found no scar tissue, and I bounced back. Like it was like, had the heart attack, ticked the box, and moved on. And that's how I look at it now, is that was the experience I had to go in to clean up part of that generational trauma that came through my family, because my grandmother died at 54 of a heart attack. My uncle died at 50 of a heart attack, and he was a doctor, he was underweight. It was just this trauma, this stuff that had been permeating through the family. And so this was me going in as the generational cycle breaker, the trauma breaker, doing that, ticking that box, and not having that continue. So how profound that was for me when I understood that, like changed again the game of what I realized I was doing. And so it hasn't been till recently, probably in the last year, that I've realized I am the generational cycle breaker for my family. I'm the one that ancestors chose to come here to do what the previous ancestors couldn't do, was to clean up all the trauma, all the karma from previous lives, all the stuff epigenetically coded in that no one else had cleaned up. And so that's what I've been doing here for the majority of my life, is cleaning up all those cycles, all those traumas, all that karma that's been running through my lineage. And part of it was having to go through and experience a heart attack. Crazy, eh? But that's what that was for. I firmly understand and know that now. So for you guys too, just think about it this way. The more that you focus on healing yourselves and cleaning up and breaking the cycles of your past generations, of your parents, you're changing it not just for your kids, but you also change the lineage back the other way as well. Like you clean it up energetically for your whole line, your whole bloodline. And so I've realized now as well, you can actually start to reverse age as well. Like, because the more you clean out the stuff that you're holding in your body, all that energy, it's a weight. The emotional energy is a baggage and a weight that we tow around. And if you just look at that there, you can see the pain on me, right? Like you can see the pain and you can see the weight. Well, if I'm like 4 or 5 years older now, but look younger than I do there, what does that tell us? It's not the physical body as much as it's the energetics inside the physical body that has the impact on the physical body. So the lies that we've been told as well, that we just get older and it's just what happens and it has to be that way, I think that's all bullshit now as well, and I'm living proof that it's bullshit. So no one can tell me that's not true. So you can reverse aging, you can change your physical body through doing the inner work. And the physical body is just, as I said earlier, a manifestation of the light that comes out from the essence of you. When I came home from the hospital, because I was in a really unhappy relationship at the time as well, and again we talk about, I'll go into this actually, we talk about trauma bonds. I've talked about trauma bonds with you all before, right? So we touched on it before with the subconscious. You essentially will just keep creating those patterns until someone breaks them, and so you manifest and will attract a partner that resembles one or both of your parents, just the way that it happens. And so I had manifested a woman that showed up differently. Her ways of doing it were slightly different, but essentially the same woundings as my mum. So I was with someone because I was so gaslit as a kid and so scapegoated and made wrong and all of the rest of that was put on me. I didn't realize until recently the level of fuckery that was done to me as a child, like the actual psychological and emotional abuse. I didn't understand the depth of it because it was just what I knew. It was just what was normal for me. And it hasn't been until this last year that the realization of how deep and how painful and how bad it actually was has come up, and I've had memories that have started to resurface that I'd buried, like memories from my childhood that I had forgotten about that I didn't want to access because it was too painful. So some of that stuff's been surfacing and coming up, and as I was stuck in this relationship, it was this feeling of never being good enough, feeling like my heart had been broken, feeling like I couldn't connect, feeling like I was made wrong all the time. And so I'm not blaming my partner for that. This was me that had manifested someone to play that dance out with. It was my subconscious that brought that person into existence because that's what I knew. That was normal. That's what love was. Our parents are the first version of your experience with the masculine and the feminine. So generally, if you're a guy, a boy, you're going to end up kind of manifesting someone that was like your mum often. Sometimes it'll be the dad, and it's a combination, and vice versa, like daddy's little girl, mummy's little boy, these kind of cliches that we hear. It's our first attachment to the feminine energy for us guys. So if your mum was nurturing, if she was loving, if she was really caring and showed up for you, most times you're going to seek that in the feminine that you go partner with, because that's what love is to you. But just the same on the opposite side, if you got gaslit, scapegoated, lied to, manipulated, made wrong, punished all the time for being yourself, told you weren't allowed to feel, put in your room and shut in your room so you felt like you were going to be alone for fucking ages and in pain while you're crying your eyes out and just being abandoned, guess what you're going to end up attracting in a woman? The very thing that. And so that's what had happened for me. I'd gone and attracted someone I couldn't connect with that would gaslight me. And I didn't understand the depth of this at the time because I was in it. So I didn't understand, like I do now, of what was going on in that time. I just thought that this is fucked. This relationship isn't right, but I couldn't get out of it. Like I felt stuck in it. Why can't I walk away? And as I zoomed out and got to see the patterns that played out, when I was growing up, my dad would come to me and go, Michael, I'm one step if I'm walking away from your mother. I've had enough this time. And I've had enough this time, Michael. And he'd come to me and I'd end up having to my dad would confide in me. I'd have to counsel my dad, let him know it's okay. And then I'd go to my mum and I'd try and smooth things over with my mum for my dad. And I was literally, as a child, trying to keep my family unit together. I was the therapist in the family unit, and I was the one that was the meat in the middle between my sister and my dad and my mum. My sister would come to me, I'd defend my sister against my mum, and mum and I would end up having these massive battles because I was the one that would stand up to her. And then I was the black sheep. I was the one made wrong for that, and I was punished for that. And so this was my existence growing up as a child for a very, very long time. So it makes perfect sense that I found someone that treated me that way as a partner to go and have the child with. And so through that, I felt so disconnected, I felt unloved, and as I said, I'm not blaming them for that, it was me because of what I had been programmed with. So it's what my mum had programmed me with from childhood that had me manifest the partner. So I sit here and say this in a sense of taking responsibility for that outcome. Even though I got the programming, my mum was wounded as well, and so I don't hold her responsible to the point that I don't believe she was that conscious either, and so she just gave me all her wounding and projected all her stuff on. But when I came out of hospital and I had these realizations happen, I remember a moment in the kitchen with my mum and my partner at the time, and I just unloaded on both of them. It was this declaration to myself, and I was so fucking angry and I was so hurt, and I ended up having to go at both of them and at myself and saying, I can't believe I've allowed myself to be treated this way. I can't believe that I've let myself stay in something so fucking painful as long as I've stayed in this. And I had a massive cry and I gave it to both of them because they'd both been treating me like shit. It was my way of like really declaring my love for myself and releasing and transmuting the pain that I had been carrying about me staying in a dynamic with someone like that. I was so upset with myself. I had to really release all the shame and the guilt that I'd been holding about why I'd stayed there for as long as I had. So it was a massive, massive experience for me. It was a massive game changer in the paradigms of the direction I started to go in. So that was that little death and rebirth. And then there's the goat now. So this is me just a few weeks ago at like 83 kg, coming down from 110. And the reason that I'm so proud of this, for those of you that have read my post as well, is that it's not, fucking stoked with my physical body, but it's how I've shown up for myself, and it's the inner work that's been done that's had the physical body manifest like that. So yes, I go to the gym and I do all that, but it's been the work of showing up for myself and doing the inner work and doing the healing that ends up having the body become younger, look younger, and then making it easier for you to make choices that are good for you, that are for your betterment versus detracting from your betterment and minimizing you. That's the real key here that has us end up being able to transform our physical beings. And so, this has been an epic journey, and again, one that the reason I put that in there about the scape and then crossing out to goat is that because my whole life I've been the scapegoat. It was so ingrained in me from childhood to just be the brunt of it all, to take the responsibility. Oh, it's Mike's fault. Oh, Mike did that. Oh, Michael, why'd you make me do that? Why'd you speak up? Oh, you're too sensitive. Oh, you're too this, you're too that. And so because I had that, every relationship that was close to me that I formed was one that was based on me being the scapegoat. I just didn't see it until recently. So even my closest friendship, this one really fucking got to me. When I popped out, would have been 2 or 3 months ago, so the last relationship I had, that last relationship, I didn't realize, I knew she was starting to play games. I want to talk about this actually and extrapolate out of this. But she was playing games. I knew she was playing me off with another guy or two. I don't know whether it was one or two. And I could tell she was starting to do this. But because I was certain enough in myself, I didn't get too kind of upset about it. But I started to go, I don't know if I want to stay in this anymore now because I'm seeing what's going on. I trusted that she wasn't cheating, but I think she was cheating now that I'm looking back and I've kind of been able to see things clearly. But I definitely knew she was playing me off with some other dudes and doing that. And so she was trying to play this push-pull game with me. And I was used to the push-pull game because that's what I had, right? So when you have an attachment that's afraid of abandonment and you're anxiously attached and someone pulls away, you want to get in there and chase and like do right and people please to make sure that you're still going to be loved. And so this was my dynamic that I had to do with my mum my whole life. Like I was always the one being made wrong, so I'd have to bend curve to make sure mum was okay so that I could be loved. And so as this relationship was starting to play this push-pull with me, this dynamic, I started this time, because I'd done enough healing, go, I'm not going to keep going into this push-pull dynamic. And so I ended up writing her a beautiful letter to say, thank you for the relationship. I really honor this. I don't blame you. This is just us coming together to learn what we needed to learn and do all that. I gave her a beautiful gift because it was her birthday the next day. And looking back now, she was actually she was upset, but she was going along with it easier than I thought that it would be for her. And now I understand why. It's because she had a backup or two that she had there, and she was, seeing what I would do about it. And then it wasn't until after that had happened, and then I reached out to her a few weeks later because I knew there was something deep in that connection there that I wanted to meet up. She started attacking me through text again and saying, no, you never loved me. You never, just trying to play these games to hook me back in. And in the end, I said, okay, I'll respect you. If you don't want to meet up, that's cool. I'll respect you, and that's that. Then I got another text attacking me. And then I thought, right, I'm just going to block her, blocked her mum, blocked her daughter, blocked all access to me. And the moment I did that, I get a screenshot of a message from my friend in Australia that she had sent her saying I was a narcissist and I'd done this and making up all the stuff. And that was the beginning of the smear campaign. The moment I clawed my energy back and said, I'm not playing this with you anymore, the smear campaign started. So even though she had done the cheating, even though she had backup guys and all that, she went out to defame me as best that she could. And me having to experience that sent me, and my dad's dementia at the time, because Dad, I just found his dementia had gotten way worse. I had to walk away from my mum. I had to deal with my dad's dementia, and I'd gone through a breakup of someone who I really loved, who I didn't realize at the time was playing these games with me. And it was the most that was my last dark night of the soul. That was a really painful moment. I went into hermit mode for about 2 months. I was doing Epsom salt baths, like at least an hour to 2 hours a day. I was meditating, doing shadow work. I was purging all the pain of my father getting dementia, that I couldn't save him. So I was having to release all the guilt, because I'd always felt responsible for saving my dad, because I was looking after him since I was a kid. So I was having to release and purge all this guilt, shame, having to purge the loss of the person I thought I loved, like the abandonment there, and had to go in and feel it all. And it was a fucking rough couple of months. I think you spoke to me a few times in there, but I was so emotional. I was so upset. And I didn't distract myself with anything or anyone. I just went inward and literally just survived, did what I had to do through life and see my clients and be there for my son. But when I was on my own, I was literally just going through and trying to clean up and release everything I could release that had happened. And I'm very, very grateful for that last relationship, because that was the last of the abandonment wound. That relationship was the clincher for me that gave me access to the trauma that I hadn't had access to, that I got to clean up this last cycle. And having stepped away from that and cleaning that up enabled me to walk away from my family and close that with my mum. She was like the final boss. I liken it, we talk about gamifying. I liken my mum to like the final boss. That was the cycle I had to really break, was the toxic relationship and dynamic, that if she wasn't going to respect my boundaries that I was starting to put in place because of the self-love I'd built up by going doing the shadow work and realizing that my love wasn't out there, it was within here that I needed to give myself, then everything shifted. And so that, I'm so grateful for that relationship breakup for that reason, to give me the access to that part. So the message is, nothing happens in your life that's not meaningful and for a reason. Every breakup, every mishap, every challenge is there for your growth and evolution if you so choose to. Now, the person that I broke up with, they went straight into the arms of another person, substances, partying, doing all that, smearing me. And now, from what I understand, they're in a world of serious pain, because we live in a world of cause and effect. And so they never dealt with their stuff. And so they're stuck in that loop still. Whereas because I went inward and I dealt with all the stuff I needed to deal with, it transformed my life and changed my reality. This is the outcome of this last 5 months. So again, it's like, nothing has to define us. That's happened to us. You get to choose. And then you get to be the light for others. So I'm very proud of where I am now. And I put this up, right, like on Facebook. No, a year ago, 2 years ago, I'd never be able to put something like this up on Facebook. And I've got people at the moment going, oh fuck, he's so arrogant, oh, he thinks he's so hot, he thinks he's so good. And you know what? I'm not actually arrogant about it, but I'm gonna fucking celebrate myself for the first time. And this is what's fundamentally different, is that I could not celebrate myself because no one would celebrate me. Like if I had wins, my closest friends, like my best friend, would just minimize me because he was so jealous and envious. I didn't realize he was so jealous and envious. And so what I also uncovered over this time that popped out around that same time with the relationship is that he had been manipulating the breakup of the relationship. He had been feeding her head full of lies that I was doing things like cheating and doing stuff I wasn't doing. He was bagging her out to me without me realizing he was doing this at the time. And he orchestrated the whole breakdown of the relationship and enticed her away. I'm not complaining about this, I'm glad it happened, but this is what happened that I didn't know at the time. And he enticed her away to keep me in pain and minimize me. And he had been doing this for years. And I only just uncovered this in the last few months. That's what my best friend, my closest friend, had been doing to me. And he had got a whole bunch of people against me, sending messages, screenshots, like a coordinated effort to defame me and minimize me. Stop work from coming my way, block women from coming my way, and just having me feeling down and out because he was so envious of my light. And I had been used to dimming my light my whole life for those around me because I didn't want to make them feel bad. And because I knew that if I shone bright, I was going to get punished and I wasn't going to be loved, I was going to be abandoned. So you can kind of see how insidious this whole pattern had built up. And I was so in it, I had no idea that I was even in it until like a number of months back. So as I came to that realization and popped through that, can you imagine how fucking painful that was? It was confronting as fuck. It was so painful. And I ended up having a few catch-ups with him as I was coming to these realizations. And I remember saying to him, I was like, fuck, how dare you doing this? And I was unpacking it as I was going, and he just sat there and he's like, oh, I didn't understand to the degree even then of what had happened, but he really copped it from me. But he got off lightly compared to what I know now and how I deliver it now, because I was kind of coming through this transition and the realization of what was happening without full understanding. But that's what's basically transpired. All my closest relationships were built and modeled off the relationship with my mother. So fucking, can you imagine how crazy that is to discover that? And it makes sense, makes perfect sense, right? Because I was so programmed so heavily.
Just shows also how powerful we are at manifesting our reality.
That's exactly it.
So now that you've closed that loop, what's amazing is what's now going to come with the new
Totally.
way of being.
Yeah, 100%. And so that's exactly it. What you're looking at now is someone that can stand in their full power, someone that can stand in their full light being shone, and not worry about who reacts or responds in whichever way because of their own shit. For the first time in my life, I can celebrate myself fully and have my light shine bright and be comfortable with it without being worried about other people's reactions. First time. Just in these last few months. So that's what this culmination, that's what this is. This is the culmination of that, of the commitment to self, coming home to self, and truly loving oneself. Yeah.
So I'd say like better late than never. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now when you move, like what Joel's saying, like when you move forward, yeah, that's a bit of pill to swallow about the relationships and the loss of, you know, who you thought was your best mate.
Yeah.
But it's like now the universe will provide what
Totally.
you need.
Yeah, so on that, I'm not bitter about any of this either. Like, I am grateful for all the experiences I've had. Was it painful and fucking hard? Yeah, 100%. Was it like challenging to go through it? Absolutely. But I sit with absolute gratitude because I wouldn't be here delivering what I'm delivering to you now without going through it. That's a fundamental principle I want you all to really get. It's not just a nicety to intellectualize. It is the fucking reality. When you don't hold on to the grudges and the resentments of the past, and you truly transmute them and alchemize that energy, you don't hold on to it. And you know, I'm 40, almost 47, but I don't consider myself 40. I'm getting younger. Trust me, I'm getting younger. I'm gonna challenge the whole aging principle. And this is just the beginning of it. But I needed to get to this age, exactly where I am now. If we trust divine timing, it had to be this way. So I don't have any resentments or like, oh, I wish I'd learnt this earlier. I don't think like that at all. And I advise you all to drop those types of conversations with yourself. Oh, I wasted my time for 5 years in that relationship. The amount of fucking times I hear people talk about that. Oh, I shouldn't have been with this person. It's like, no, that's the wrong attitude. That's victimhood that's keeping you stuck in that cycle. That happened for a reason at the time because your soul needed it at that particular time to grow and evolve through it. And it's when we grow and evolve and we choose to overcome those situations that we become motherfucking diamonds. And a diamond doesn't become a diamond without the pressure and without the challenge. So if we shift the paradigm, if we shift the way that we see challenges, that we see pain, and we see it to be something that's actually there to be utilized, to be alchemized, to transform us, then we shift our reality, we change our paradigms. Yeah? Any queries or questions on that? I'm so inspired by all this. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, thanks for sharing the journey so far.
Yeah. Welcome. Yeah, and it's nice to take ownership of being the goat now instead of the scapegoat. Because I have been so used to being the scapegoat. Even to the degree we'd go out sometimes and like if my friend's wife, I remember one time we were out and she got too drunk or whatever and then tried to blame it on me because I'd given her a drink. So it's just situations like that throughout all those dynamics. I was just always scapegoated like that. So people have been coming up to me saying I look different.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, I look different, feel different. Yeah, that just predominantly that really. That's look and feel different.
They reflect on their own selves. I mean, a lot of people struggle with their own physicality.
I don't know. Like, I'm quite polarizing for a lot of people because it challenges a lot of people. Like me being able to go like that now and then coming through heart attacks and all that, for someone that's hanging on to their stuff and they look at me, you can kind of see that I challenge, just my existence challenges their reality.
Yeah, because I'm always wondering, like, some people will just lean away and be ignorant of it, but some people do lean in. Like, they'll see something around them change and go, shit, you know,
Yeah.
I've noticed this, how did you?
I'm starting to get a little bit of that now. I've had people going, oh, you look like a celebrity now, or you feel different, or your energy feels real different. I've had that a number of times. Yeah.
Also, a thing you shared about like how many, over 100,000 people, was it one of the posts or the content recently?
Oh yeah,
So not a lot of people necessarily are commenting on my stuff that's quite polarising, right? But how many views have you had on stuff?
last month there was 128,000 views on my content last month.
So people are observing.
Yeah.
They're choosing to engage or not.
Yeah.
Based on their
what I'm
own
really
fear or
interested in.
challenge or
Exactly,
triggers,
who leans away and who leans in.
Yeah, the post that I did around Love Mike, Hate Mike, my open love letter, that got 55,000 views, that one post. Yeah. Because like what I'm talking to and talking about and why my content hits and polarizes, it's designed to, because I'm speaking truth. I'm holding the mirror up to myself and others. I'm not trying to make others wrong, I'm just holding the mirror. And by holding the mirror into patterns and behaviors, it's challenging for people. But it's in doing that for ourselves that we liberate ourselves from the hold that they have over us. That's the fucking fundamental thing people don't get.
Notice it's predominantly women commenting as well.
Yeah, 100%. Because most guys are locked down, they're like trapped in themselves. Yeah, I looked at the followers I had the other day. I think it's 70% women and 30-something% guys. And the women mainly will comment too because they can relate. They're in their feeling body, whereas a lot of the guys are in their heads. They don't want to confront. Totally. It was like getting guys into this here, and I knew it was only going to be a select group that were at a point where they were ready to hear this information. Again, we're only going to come across and receive what we're ready to receive. And so again, when you trust to that, it's like the right people turn up at the right time based on their frequency and what they're ready to receive. So this is what I say to clients as well, is that a lot of the people will come too. Like I think you came to me, Joel, and you were like, oh, you wanted to stop drinking or lose weight or go to the gym a few years ago. It was one of the reasons why you wanted to.
Some fantasy around.
Yeah.
To kind of achieve it.
Yeah, and so most people are trying to lose weight or trying to make big changes in life just through the 3D aspect, through the physical aspect. So if you, like for example, when I had the heart attack, I stopped drinking for, I think it was like 3 or 4 months because I was like afraid. I was afraid of dying. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to drink alcohol because there's fear there. And then eventually, I remember the first night I had another drink, it was a glass of bubbles, and I justified it because I was up in the box at the arena listening to Symphony, you know, Symphony, it was epic. And so I had a glass of bubbles, and that was the beginning of me back on the drink again, like through justifying it, celebrating, it's just a glass of bubbles, whatever. Next thing I'm fucking drinking again. Yeah. So I was,
It's 11 o'clock.
yeah, it's almost lunchtime, yeah. So I was just started drinking again, and it wasn't until I dealt with the inner stuff, which is what you're talking about, Dan, until I dealt with the wounds and the lack of self-love and the abandonment stuff. Once I dealt with that, alcohol going was easy. So it's not about the junk food itself, it's not about the booze itself, or the substances, whatever anyone's doing, it's the wound that is subconsciously driving that behavior. And when you deal with that, the behavior's secondary, it becomes easy to change. That's why I don't like bodybuilding. Like I got into the gym and that for bodybuilding years ago, and I was like 18, 19, because it was like, oh wow, it's amazing. And as you start to delve into it and you learn, it's one of the most unhealthiest sports. It was starting to really fuck my mind up, even leading up to the competition. I didn't even compete in the end because it was messing with my head so much. Like I had such bad body dysmorphia looking in the mirror. And all the people I knew, the friends I knew that went through that were all screwed up because you get yourself to a state of, in your body, you can't maintain all the time, so it's not real. And then they get on stage for like fucking 15 minutes, they get off there, they put weight back on, then they're comparing themselves to this version that was up there for 15 minutes, and then they beat the shit out of themselves and shame themselves, and they start yo-yoing, and that's the roller coaster. And so it's the same, it's exactly it. It's these expectations, unrealistic expectations we place on ourselves to be a one-sided human being is one of the greatest causing of human suffering. And so,
A one-sided human being.
yeah. Like for example, I'm supposed to be happy all the time, or I'm supposed to be giving all the time, or whatever these people create. And then when they show up the opposite way, they beat the fuck out of themselves because they've shown a part of themselves they were ashamed to show. In reality, they can't get rid of it. We're all sides, we're both sides. So that's my story, gentlemen. I hope that helps you guys in regards to realizing that your past doesn't define you. Your past is there, and all those events are there for you to transmute, alchemize, and grow through and use as stepping stones, not chains. They're going to be tied around your ankle. That's why I've done what I've done. That's why I've had to traverse what I've traversed. So on a deep level now, a soul level, this has been my mission. I'm here to help change human consciousness. I understand that deeply now. And the way that I can lead to do that is exactly what I've shown you guys. So my life is not the normal life, I understand that. Like I've traversed more than the average punter, and I've done it in a way that the average punter doesn't do when they go through challenges too. So I understand that deeply, and I'm very grateful for how I've shown up for myself and the path that I'm on, albeit that it was fucking painful and tough. Where I am right here now, like I have a new canvas in life. As I've walked away, I'll share this too actually, because this links to what you said earlier. As I've closed this old chapter and these cycles, these are big cycles of all these energetics, of these like narcissistic relationships that I was tied up in. Can you imagine what happens when you close that up and you like step out? All those people that you were linked to energetically, what are they trying to do at that point? Because there's an entanglement that was there. They're all trying to grab. They're all trying to pull you back in like crabs in a bucket. And they're all like, fuck you for going away. How dare you do that? How come you've pulled your energy back? Mike's such an asshole. Oh, he's so selfish. Oh, he's so self-centered. Oh, he's so arrogant. He's so this, he's so that. The same very people that are sitting there pointing the finger are being the ones that I've been in the toxic fucking dynamics with, and they're not owning their part in those dynamics. And they're all sitting there pointing the finger at me right now because I've gone, no, I'm going to honor myself now. Sorry, team. Sorry, I'm not going to give to you all now like I did to feel loved. I'm going to give to myself. So how about you fucking go take care of yourselves now? That's kind of what's happened. And so this has been the big shift. And so as I've done that and popped out of that, I can feel this new portal's open, this new timeline, and I've created space for the new. And the relationships I'm bringing in now are ones that are more on that higher vibration, that are not entangled in the energetics of that dynamic in those relationships. So they're new relationships. So I'm experiencing reality differently, and I'm bringing soul-led, soul-connected relationships in to fulfill the mission. And you guys are all here because you're part of that, otherwise you wouldn't be here. someone to deflect having to look in the mirror. Someone to be able to scapegoat so that they don't have to look at themselves. I have been the ultimate scapegoat for people, up until recently. So, yeah. So that's my story, gentlemen. That's these are the many faces of me. So by going through this, by going through what I've gone, I get to embrace now this artist that I am as well, that I kind of, this creativity that I had that I didn't realize I had, and I get to honor myself. Like, I would not want myself to be seen like this once upon a time. I'd be too ashamed, too embarrassed. What if so-and-so thinks this about me, whatever. Now I can fucking do all sorts of things, take the piss out of myself, and I don't care. So yeah, this is the journey I've been on with my content creation that's just getting started. Personally, I love the Wicked Witch of the West with the flying monkey. I really like that. And then I had my ex turn up to me to pick up my son and go, "Oh, what's wrong with you? You're crazy." That stuff you put. I'm just thinking, oh, yeah, he goes, whatever, whatever.
Surely people have a choice to follow content.
This is what I've even told them all what I'm doing in my content. Like, I even said, this is why I write what I'm writing. I'm doing this to expand consciousness, to challenge you, to have you look in the mirror. If you don't want your consciousness influenced, don't read my content. What do they want to do? Of course they want to read it. Can't help it.